In the top left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in that top left-hand corner, we have our blue Protoss player loading in here. On Cosmic Sapphire, we have a blue Protoss player coming out from the land of Poland. He is, of course, going to be representing Storm Gaming. We have Gerald.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Cosmic Sapphire, we have his opponent, the South Korean Zerg player representing On-Side Gaming. It is Solar.
Okay. As we reel a little bit from our previous map, we're getting into two brand new players here. I mean, well, by brand new, I mean, you know, we casted Gerald before the break, and we casted Solar a couple days ago, so there's not that much that we can really glean in this for this particular map.
Yeah, so if you recall, Gerald, the last time we saw him on Cosmic Sapphire, he went for a Stargate opener into Double Forge, and we were very, or at least I was very critical of Geralt for going for that build. I think it's illegal, and I think he learned his lesson after losing to Cham on Cosmic Sapphire, so I don't expect him to do that again, especially against Solar.
After Cham arrested him.
Yeah,
locked him up.
He locked him up, mate. And mate, if Cham locks you up, Solar is gonna do so much more to you. So I don't think it's wise to be giga greedy against a player like Solar, because as soon as he catches wind of it, he will just commit to a timing attack. He will commit to an all-in to punish you.
He absolutely will. Solar, you know, he went to that coven. Are they called covens? Coventries? I'm essentially, Solar's a nun, is essentially what I'm trying to get at, you know? He knows that greed is a sin, so if you try to go greedy, he will just whip you with that ruler,
you know,
smack you.
Covens are like the opposite. They're for witches. they're not for nuns.
Are they not the same thing?
No. Oh, God.
They gotta do, like, exchange programs, though, right?
What?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
The nuns and the witches, they gotta have like exchange programs going on there, right?
Shaking my head. As of course we are getting into into this series, and if you recall, Gerald, something that he did do both games against Cham, and I think it's his go-to safe opener in PvZ. It's his comfort zone. Is going for a Void Ray first, so we'll see if he does that here against Solar, or if he switches things up.
And so far, he hasn't produced anything from his Stargate. There's that Oracle now being thrown down. So he is switching things up quite a bit, maybe feeling a bit more confident against Solar to go for a bit more of a hero style.
Yeah, I think this shows us that that Geralt's playing with Void Rays or opening Void Ray was probably very specific against Cham, just because he knows how aggressive Cham can be and how all-in Cham can be, as we saw time and time again. So yeah, it looks like, oh, never mind. He goes for an Oracle into a Void Ray. Oh my God.
Interesting. Yeah, very interesting choice coming out here from Geralt. I mean, we could see he was rallying that Oracle across the map. He wants to prioritize scouting Solar more than he wants to prioritize preventing Solar from getting into his base. So that should mean that Geralt is still going to play this out somewhat standard, just a little bit more defensive.
Yeah. So basically, the biggest difference here is that because Geralt did open up Oracle first instead of Void Ray first, like he switched it around, he is more concerned with scouting as he's here across the map, just making sure that we have a third base, that we have drones on the way from Solar. He just wants to make sure he's fully aware of what Solar is up to. Then as a secondary option, he's going to clear out this Overlord, and oh my God, he kills the Overlord, and he's going for 2 more Stargates.
Wait, no, this isn't this isn't the Patty special. My mistake.
No.
But yeah, it's a very unorthodox opening coming out here from Geralt. I wouldn't be surprised if instead of a Twilight Council, he just grabs +1 ship weapons immediately.
Yeah, he is going straight into Sky Toss, and I was about to say, with 3 Stargates, typically if it's 2, we should be seeing Void Rays, but with 3, I believe he's going to be amassing Phoenixes.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. One Phoenix already chronoed out, the other one queued up, and he's just getting as many of them as he can. To make use of that Oracle as well, you know, he knows that he has the Void Ray back home to defend, so he can't afford to expend energy like this. But he does still need to be careful, you know. There comes a certain point where if you have enough Lings, you can just flood on in and take out a third base. You know, one Void Ray and however many Phoenixes you make at World aren't going to help.
Yeah, and Solar's trying to piece this together, and I really like that he's going for a Spire here. He hasn't seen too much, but I think that's a bit of a tell. He sees 4 Adepts. There's no upgrade on the Cyber Core, so he doesn't have confirmation that it's Sky Toss. But for the time being, he's content to just drone on up, and he's getting away with quite a bit.
He absolutely is. Solar's now on 67 drones, and that's all you need getting into the mid game here as a Zerg player. Spire is about to finish up. He's just making sure his bases are saturated, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not he scouts the Phoenixes first, because if not, he may just grab a handful of mutas to try to get into the bases and get a bit of a scout of what's going on. But the Overseer is going in.
Yeah, the Overseer is going on in, but as the Overseer goes in, the Phoenixes are going for a massive counterattack. Solar did make a wave of Lings, and these Lings are going to be threatening the third base. There's not a lot at home to defend for Gerald, but he does have a shield battery. He does have a handful of Adepts. The Phoenixes are going on in, and ooh, Solar did not expect this. He didn't have a Spore ready.
Yeah, not at all. He's sending a couple of Corruptors right now, but not before a Queen goes down, a bunch of drones are starting to go down.
Yeah, this so far is a lot of damage being dealt here, so not too bad for Gerald. Gerald, there was a window where he was vulnerable to like a Ling counterattack, but he's had enough time to warp in back at home. The Void Ray's back at home as well. Like, he's handling this quite well.
Yeah, 15 drones go down for Solar. That's practically an entire mineral line. And with that, Gerald it takes such a massive lead when it comes to the worker count. He's so far ahead economically that it's essentially a nightmare scenario right now if you're Solar. Not the end of the game. He is still getting these Corruptors. He is still getting his tech. There are avenues for Solar to come back in this game, multiple of them. But he is just behind. No way of getting around that fact.
Yeah, he's trying to tech up behind this, by the way. I think Solar has recognized the threat of ground toss as a transition, which is exactly what Geralt is doing. Geralt is going into Charge Lot Archon behind this, and he's trying to maintain map control with all of these Phoenixes. We'll see if he can pull that off. Solar, thankfully, is investing into his Roaches, so he will have a ground army to deal with the Charge Lot Archon.
Yeah, that's definitely something at the very least. Still needs to worry about this Phoenix army. There are so many of them in the skies.
Yeah, and the most worrisome thing is that Geralt has gotten away with a lot of greed. Like a Protoss player to comfortably get up to 4 bases and get up to 75 probes like this, like his economy is pretty comparable to that of Solar. So especially with Solar trying to, and attempting to re-drone, he's just not in a very good economic position. It means that Geralt can just snowball from here. He comes in once again with his Phoenixes and he picks off all these Queens.
What's the saying? If the Protoss and the Zerg economies look comparable on paper, then in practice the Protoss army, or the Protoss economy is just going to be more effective.
Pretty
that
much.
Definitely applies here.
Geralt, he does leave his Phoenixes a little bit idle for a moment, so he loses a handful of the Phoenixes. So decent catch from Solar. We do see the Ling Roach rushing across the map. Solar knows that he's on a timer. He knows that he has to be aggressive now, otherwise it's going to be too late.
Yeah, he needs to, in some way, just put a dent in Geralt's economy. I do appreciate that Solar's grabbing the gold. That's one way for him to climb back on top of this, but he needs to do that and also take out a base and also make sure he doesn't die to a counterattack.
And here we go. We have a mass amount of Lingbane rolling on in. We have Archons to soak them up, though, and it looks like Solar is being forced back. The Archons are just a bit much.
Yeah, there's I want to say there's a possibility for Solar to take an engagement here, but it really is very positional. It's really very positional for him, you know? He needs Gerald to move into him as Solar himself sets up a concave, but that's just not happening. Gerald, he knows he doesn't need to overextend.
Mate, that was an insane amount of Banelings that traded with like 2 Archons. Like,
Yep.
so many Banelings just went down. That is so much gas down the drain for Solar, and that move, by the way, that army was designed to kill. Solar intended to cripple at least one of these bases, and he did 0 economic damage.
Yep. He traded against Zealots, but that's about all you can really say. Went well for Solar. Geralt, meanwhile, wiped out the Ling count, wiped out the Baneling count, and actually traded decently against these Corruptors too.
Yeah, and now Gerald is ahead in the worker count. He's got a 5th base on the way. Solar has the gold, which is nice. It means that he can remax on Lings, but Lings are not what you want against Charged Out Archon. Like, specifically those Archons just shut both Ling Bane and Corruptors down.
Like, okay, we're not gonna be seeing it right now, but we should be seeing it pretty soon. Geralt has scouted the gold base, by the way, and that was the one option for Solar to really come back in this game. That entire mineral line has been wiped out, and I don't, yeah. I'm just feeling really pessimistic right now for Solar. Like, as a resident Zerg, I was gonna ask you, as a resident Zerg player, what should Solar do? But then I remembered. I remembered your opinions, shall we say?
Well, I was gonna say right now, Solar. I can tell you right now, he's smudging pretty hard. I can feel the smudge emanating from Solar. He is maxed, to be fair. He is gonna have quite a formidable army here. He just doesn't have a lot of longevity. You know, what you see is gonna be what you get. This next fight is gonna be quite important. If Solar takes a good fight, then he can try and go for a counterattack, and he will have the momentum to break one of these bases, but Geralt doesn't give him what he wants. Geralt just backs off.
Yeah. He knows he's ahead, so there's no reason for him to screw it up, in a sense. You know, he doesn't feel any pressure to push into Solar. He knows he can just take he knows he can just sit on his 5 bases and still be ahead. If he wanted to, he could even take a 6.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, Geralt, he's in a really weird position where he's going for a couple of Zealot run-bys here and there. He's just trading. He needs to get rid of these Phoenixes. Over time, these Phoenixes, I feel like they've kind of run out of usefulness. Geralt is maxed out, or he's close to maxed out. He needs to free up supply to get into carriers, to get into Skytoss, and we'll see if he can survive that long.
Indeed, we shall. This is a little bit of a scary moment right now for Geralt, because as you were saying, this is about the time where he wants to trade some of his less effective units, like these Phoenixes, and transition into something a little bit greater. But while that's happening, Solar is maxed out. There could be a window for him to just push in and cripple the economy.
Yeah, Solar went for a massive run-by towards the 3rd base of Geralt, and it looks like only 5 probes went down. Geralt, he reacted quite well. Meanwhile, here we go. Now he's going for a counterattack. He has Storm. That's a lot of High Templar, by the way. Oh, the Banelings?
Yeah, that's enough to pretty much blanket this army twice over.
Yeah, the Baneling run-by gets shut down. The Storms connect as well with the Ling Bane. Oh my god. Some of the Banelings are going to connect with those High Templar. There's only 4 High Templar remaining. But Geralt takes another fight.
Yeah. And now he's done hanging back. He knows he has the momentum. He knows he has the lead. So he's just going to press his advantage.
Yeah, I'm just keeping my eye on that production tab. The Fleet Beacon is done, by the way, but we still don't see any Void Rays or carriers. Geralt, he's sticking with Ground Toss for the time being. He's pushing on forward. Can he break these bases of Solar? He still has a couple of Storms in the chamber.
He's gonna have to, right? I mean, it's literally just Ling Bane coming out right now for Solar against all of these Archons, all of these Storms, all of these, and all of these Stalkers as well.
Yeah, and there is the final Storm for Geralt, but there is so much on the ground anyway. The Blink Stalkers are just a little bit too much. Solar loses everything.
GG is called, and Geralt will be taking game number 1, which is a game that, even as a non-Zerg player, I gotta say, that was rough. Looking at what Solar was, looking at Solar's POV.
Yeah, GG. Gerald takes the first game. Very well done. Gerald was able to get away with a very unorthodox build going into, if you remember, he opened up Stargate, Oracle Void Ray into triple Stargate Phoenix production. And that went unscouted until the Phoenixes revealed themselves in the main base for Solar, and Solar lost so much there. It was from that moment where he was kind of playing a bit from behind.
Yeah. I was looking at the Spire finishing up for Solar, and I thought, okay, this is a pretty good scenario for Solar. You know, there are a lot of Phoenixes, but he can counter them with Corruptors. But I wasn't looking at the main bases. I kind of assumed that Solar, just to be safe, because you know he wasn't able to scout the natural domain for a very long time, was getting Spore Crawlers. I was really surprised when you called out Solar doesn't have any Spore Crawlers in his main base. I was like, oh. This is a bit of a pickle.
Yeah, that wasn't the only time, by the way. There were moments where Solar, if you remember, he didn't have a Spore at his gold either, and he lost every drone at his gold a little bit later on. Like,
yeah.
Gerald was doing a really good job at finding value with those Phoenixes. Even though the Phoenixes, they're quite niche in what they can do. Like, early on, we saw them harass, but even in the mid-game, we saw them picking off a lot of Banelings, like doing a great job at just crowd controlling Solar's army and picking him apart time and time again. We saw the moment where it felt like Solar was solidly behind, which was when he worked up towards this massive Ling Bane Roach push. I think he had 180 supply. He rolls on in and he loses everything to the Wall of Archons. Like, it was one of the most inefficient fights I've ever seen. It was, oh my god, it was crazy.
Loses everything to the Wall of Archons, doesn't deal any economic damage.
Yeah.
That's pretty much when I think we realize there's literally no way Solar can climb back out of this. Yep. All Geralt needed to do at that point was not blow his lead. He just hang back and do whatever.
He just had to
exactly what happened.
Not pull a Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So yeah, really well played there by Geralt. Definitely punching up. You know, Solar is the favorite in this series, but Geralt, again, he had a very unorthodox, very tricky build that, again, did pay off for him. Can he replicate that success in game number 2, though? I don't expect him to do that build 2 games in a row.
Well, maybe you don't. We shall see.
Yeah. Are you ready to count us in?
I am now in 3, 2, 1. Unpause. We are now loading into data under the sea. We're in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We do have our blue Protoss player coming on from the land of Poland. Little bit of the underdog in this match, but already he guarantees at least a tie in this best of 2. Can he bring it all the way to a victory? He is representing Psystorm Gaming. He is Gerald.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Data Under the Sea, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing Onside Gaming. It is Solar. OSG.
Elite.
So Solar having a bit of a rough game 1, but again, game 1 wasn't standard. It was, you know, a great way to completely blindside Solar. Solar was not expecting mass Phoenixes to suddenly show up in his main base and just decimate everything. So I expect Solar to be a little bit more on top of his scouting here.
Yeah, as do I. At least that's gotta be the hope anyway. You know, if I've learned anything about Gerald and his PvZ in this broadcast tonight, he really likes his Void Rays, or at least his initial Void Ray.
Yeah. It's a great opener to clear out Overlords and to keep the Zerg player guessing. You give up on aggression because of it. You know, if you go for the Void Ray, that means you don't have like the double Oracle to like one-shot workers and to harass your opponents. But Geralt apparently doesn't really care too much about that. You know, he's like, you know what? You want me to do that against Solar? Like, nah, man, I'm not gonna get any damage done with my first 2 Oracles. Why try to do that when I can, you know, find other success elsewhere?
Yeah. Gotta hit him where he least expects. There's apparently the main base.
Exactly, and we'll see how Gerald diverges his plan. So far, everything's pretty normal. You know, we forced the unnatural natural. Gerald's going for his gate expand. We should be seeing a Stargate, but no! Gerald goes for something different entirely.
Okay, this is the first time in 4 PVZs coming up from Gerald where he doesn't open up with a Stargate. That is instead a Twilight Council first. Are we feeling a depth slight?
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that gas count. We'll see if he pulls out of gas for Glaives. I would imagine so, but we'll keep an eye on things here. If he doesn't end up pulling out of gas, he may even go for a Robo and a Dark Shrine instead for a DT opener, which is kind of what I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, there's that Robo. I'm waiting for a little bit more gas here for Geralt, and yeah, when we get to 150, we should be seeing that Dark Shrine get thrown down.
Yeah, I'm curious how this is all going to pan out. For the time being, again, Solar, he's just chilling. He's just droning on up back at home. We see an Adept slipping on in, but it's not going to be able to do too much damage here in the main. Meanwhile, what's the plan for Geralt? This opener feels a little bit messy. A little bit inefficient.
There we go. Yeah, now the Dark Shrine is being thrown down, but I mean, I'm not a Protoss player, but I feel like I've seen enough PVZs to call this Dark Shrine late coming out from Gerald.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit worried here. The wall needs to be a wall. Okay, oh my god! There we go. He does wall off in time. Solar does not get in with his Lings. It is, in fact, going to be that Dark Shrine or that DT drop coming out from Geralt. Because it's a little bit delayed, I imagine he's mainly concerned with making Archons and clearing out Overlords and getting map control, but we'll see.
Indeed, we shall. We did see one Adept kind of shade around and scout the perimeters of Solar's bases. So Geralt, he knows that there aren't any more. He knows that there aren't any more spore crawlers, at least in the main and natural.
Yeah, exactly. There's a spore on the way at the 3rd, but that's just a safety spore more than anything. So far, the Prism did attempt to go across the map, and it is moving. It is moving out. Oh.
And the Dark Shrine did get scouted here for Solar. Is it too late? We'll see. Another Spore Crawler is in production in the natural base. They aren't taking the main. Now they are.
This 3rd, it may just go down. The Pylon ends up falling up. DT is warped in defensively, and the Prism, the Queens are on it immediately. Ooh.
Just like so. The Prism survives, but it will be forced away. Geralt really considering his options right now. You know, you can tell that he's thinking about whether to warp in a couple of DTs with that Warpism, try to get something done, but I think for now he has recognized, if I do that, I'm gonna lose the third base. And I want the third base more than I want to deny the third base of Solar.
Yeah, I feel like Solar's in a pretty good position right now. Like, this opener from Geralt kind of fell on its face. I say kind of because he hasn't lost any of his DTs, at least. And they can be morphed into Archons, and Geralt did go for a faster 3rd, so he can transition from here. But yeah, I do think that he is a little bit behind because of it regardless. And Solar, he is so free to drone up to take every single gas geyser, and this madman is going straight into a Spire.
Yeah. I'd say it kind of fell on its face, the opening I mean here for Geralt. What I mean is completely fell on its face.
Oh my god. I mean, the Archons, they're out here clearing out whatever creep they can, but the Observer gets sniped, so they can't even do that anymore. Solar, he has so much freedom right now. We have the 4th base on the way. Geralt is going to apply a little bit of pressure in this direction, but because that Prism took so much damage earlier, like, he can't really threaten too much.
Yeah, he knows that he needs to take more of a cautious approach here with his Micro. Already, one volley from the Queens, does do quite a bit of damage against the shields here of the Warpism. The Loud Constitution is about to finish up, and that should just about be the sign here for Solar to push out.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I think the Mutas are just going to end the game. Gerald, he's trying desperately to expand and take a fourth base. He's counterattacking with some DTs. He's forced to cancel the fourth. Meanwhile, can he force a cancel on the fourth of Solar? Up! Ooh.
Oh, it does force that cancel right at the end. But still, I mean, they canceled a four. They went a 4 for a fourth. This has got to be beneficial for Solar as 10 Mutas just finish up.
Yeah, and I worry about the anti-air available right now. I mean, we do have a couple of Stalkers being morphed in, and they do have Blink at least. We have 5 Stalkers in total to defend here for Gerald, as well as some Archons, so we'll see how quickly he can react, and we'll see if he can keep his workers alive.
Yeah, and he's getting a couple of Stargates now, so if he lives long enough, he should be able to get Phoenixes as well, but I mean, there's not a lot of defenses back home. One cannon just got thrown down to main base, and I think these Mutas are just gonna have a very good time. He actually kills the cannon, forces a cancel.
Does get a kill on that cannon, but we do have a very quick warp in of Stalkers to defend the main base, so things could have been a lot worse. At the same time, Link counterattack on the fourth of Gerald, but he rushed into these disruptors, and he will be able to fend off Solar. Uh-oh.
Or will he? Oh, I got so worried when I saw a Purification Nova on top of the stock. It's like, I gotta tell you, and now Purification Nova is on cooldown. Detection does come in, so these DTs not that effective anymore, but they have been able to bleed out enough units that Soul is forced away. The Mutas, meanwhile, just get more and more damage. 9 probes go down, and Soul takes a very healthy economic lead.
Yeah, and Geralt is doing okay defending, and he does have that double Stargate. He's getting into his Phoenix production. Like, he's not dead. Unfortunately, I don't see Geralt moving out anytime soon, so he's kind of contained here on his 4 bases. He doesn't really have too much of a map presence, so if Solar wanted to, he could double expand and he could drone up, but at the moment, he smells blood in the water. He goes in once again. He's trying to pull Geralt apart.
Yeah, it's one of those scenarios where 4 bases is just about enough here for Protoss if you really want to turtle up, but unfortunately Geralt just doesn't have the supply to spare to turtle up. You know, he can only defend one of his bases at a time, and Solar can attack multiple bases at a time.
Exactly, and Solar did bleed out a lot of Mutas. Looking at the units lost tab, he's lost 4. He's only lost 4 Mutas, so his Mutaflock is still fine. He's just dancing between the bases. As you were saying, Geralt, he's just having a hard time keeping up.
He really, really is. Even depowers 3 gateways, Solar does, with all these Brutalists. I thought he was kind of done with Mutas, but no, he's just making more of them. He doesn't mind losing them, because he has enough of an economy to remake them.
Exactly, and now he's just abusing his supply. He goes for a massive link run by 11 probes go down, as well as the shield batteries at the 3rd base. The Mutas go in once again to even fight toe-to-toe with those Phoenixes. Links come back in, like Geralt is just actually being pulled apart.
And I love this idea from Sola. You know, most of his air army are these Mutas, but he's still supporting them with a handful of Corruptives just to make sure the Phoenixes can't get on top of them entirely. Like you said, the Lings came in just as the Mutas were chased out, so Geralt will be losing this 4th base and all of the workers that were on it.
Yeah, exactly. Now Geralt, he's knocked down to 3 bases. He lost the majority of his ground army. He just cannot keep up with the multitasking, with the macro of Solar. And with the mass Mutas, he's even able to take down these Phoenixes.
This is like, you know, as a non-Zerg player, I'm looking at Solar's air army. I'm like, this is such a smart move. This is so clever. Why don't more Zerg players do this? But I'll defer to you on that one, Light.
Well, I mean, you said it yourself earlier. Geralt's opener did kind of fall on its face, and GG gets called. Solar takes game number 2, tying up the series.
Phone cut off for some reason, but GG, nicely done here from Solar, really redeeming himself from game number 1. Again, game number 1 for Solar was rough. It just looked like he got caught off guard and was never really able to recover. Game number 2, though, was pretty much a complete reversal of that. This time it was Geralt, not necessarily being caught off guard, but just not getting a lot of value from his opening. And Solar, just from there, taking advantage of his lead, getting further and further ahead.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think maybe I'm reading a little bit too much into it, but I think I think that was just nerves. Like, it was
I can
really
see that.
it was really hype and really cool to see him take the first game against Solar. And Geralt, like many players, his rise to fame and rise to the place where he is was kind of during the COVID era of StarCraft, where he doesn't really have a lot of experience, especially in offline events. So him playing here at HomeStory
Yeah.
Cup, especially here at the final series of the night after a long day of StarCraft, I think this may just be where experience kind of comes into play a little bit more, and Geralt, maybe it kind of got to him a little bit, you know, maybe the nerves,
Yeah.
maybe the stress, maybe the stamina. Just because that opener that we saw, I do expect a little bit better from a player of the caliber of Geralt. We saw it was a little bit mistimed and a little bit messy of a DT opener, and because of and you can't afford to have a messy opener against a player like Solar. You know, it has to be crisp, it has to be clean. Otherwise, as we saw, it literally did 0 damage. He killed like 2 creep tumors.
Yeah.
That's kind of what he did with it.
Yeah, nerves and stamina definitely definitely I can see that coming into play here, especially if you're somebody like Geralt or a little bit of the underdog going into a match and you actually won the first game
Yeah.
very handily. I mean, it happens a lot where when you're the underdog and you win the first game, you're like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
what do I do now?" I didn't expect that to happen. What is? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think that's what happened. Well, of course, like you know, I'm not too sure.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
It could just be the elephant iced tea getting to him.
It could be. It's hard to say. But regardless, I hope Geralt is happy with his performance because he took a game off of Solar, and that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
And coming into today's broadcast, we were talking about how Geralt is, you know, trying to break into that top European Protoss scene, and he's almost there. You know, he's on the cutting edge of breaking into the best of the best, and you know, taking down or being able to consistently beat a player like Solar. You know, that's kind of that's what he's looking for. That's what he's vying for, and yeah, you know, he almost did it.
Yeah, I'll say going 1-1 against Solar and going 1-1 against Cham, using both just very solid mechanics and also with some very cheeky builds as well. That's a very good sign, I'll have to say.
Mhm.
I'll be watching Geralt's career with great interest.
Yeah, he's definitely a player to keep your eye on coming into 2023. You know, he's been on the rise for a couple of years now, and we'll see if he can keep on rising. As that was our final series of the night. Again, unfortunately, best of 2s in HomeStory Cup, not best of 3s, so the series just ends 1-1. You know, there is no... We don't get an ace match. It's bad.
Yeah. Like so. Well, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your POV.
Yeah. But
How you're looking at things.
Oh my god.
I will say though that despite having only best of 2s, we definitely had some very hyped games here. I will say once again, not just game number 2 of Hearthstone versus Nightmare, but I think game number 2 with the context of knowing how game number 1 ended up, that was without a doubt the highlight of the evening for me. Maybe the highlight of the entire group, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It was insane. Oh my god, and that's why we're casting, you know, some of these games that were not broadcasted on the mainstream of HomeStory Cup, because there are some gems, there are some diamonds in the rough, and we definitely found some diamonds there. Nightmare versus Hearthstone was crazy. Yeah, thank you so much, Yaku, for joining me today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, is what I will say, yeah.
So I hope everyone in the chat enjoyed themselves as well. Yaku, I know you were streaming some StarCraft the other day. When can we expect to see some more of that?
Whenever the next one is what I will say. Whenever the next time I stream is when you can expect more streams. And that's going to be over at twitch.tv/Yakuzaku1. I'll probably announce when I go live over at twitter.com at Empore Yakuzaku. If not, !Discord in the chat. We'll bring you to CranKy Ducklings Discord server. And yeah, we have a bot that announces when I go live or when you go live, Light. Well, when a lot of different people go live, but it includes you, Light. Where would that be?
!VIP on Twitch and Twitter. You can follow me there if you're interested in some ladder sessions. I'm probably going to be streaming tomorrow. Just some Zerg ladder gameplay, just dipping my toes into the new map, pool, into the new balance patch. We try not to smudge. Emphasis on try. We do our best, but yeah. So if you're interested, then you can follow us there. You can follow me there. Otherwise, if you enjoyed our casting, and if you want more about casting, then follow us on the CranKy Ducklings Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Discord. We're all over the place, and we announce whenever we go live, so make sure you follow us. Make sure you're there. We also upload on a daily basis over to YouTube, so if you can't watch live, and if you enjoyed our casting, and if you maybe, if you want to watch some of those VODs, check out YouTube. Check it out.
Slowly but surely. Yeah, we are just finishing up the backlog here. Again, HomeStory Cup, I think, the replay cast for HomeStory Cup, I think, is just about the last thing that we're missing out on. So we should have 2 more broadcasts of this. To be fair, I haven't seen what Group C looks like, so we may be splitting that up, or we may just be doing that all in one go. But yeah, once we're done with that, we're just going to be diving straight on into 2023 head first.
Oh boy, head first, Papi. Let's go. Especially with I Am Katowice on the horizon. So yeah, make sure you're there. If you are watching, and if you don't know, I Am Katowice is in a couple of weeks. It is on the 10th of February. So mark it on your calendar and make sure that you're there watching it live. I know we will be. Whether we're a part of the broadcast or not, still to be determined. Like when it comes to being like a side stream or anything like that, we'll do our best to be a part of it. Yeah. But even if we aren't, we'll be watching. We'll be in the chat.
Yeah, we'll be watching. We might be in our we will be in the chat. We might be having a voice party as well, depending on how that goes down. So once again, !Discord in the chat, and maybe consider subscribing to the channel as well for exclusive access to the, what's it called, Learning to Swim channel.
The sub channel, Papi.
The sub channels, yeah. We may just be hanging out there instead of just general.
Maybe. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Thank you so much for the support. Our next cast is going to be on Sunday, I believe, ESL Open Cup Asia. We're going to be covering that in the morning. So if you want some more Korean StarCraft, we have you covered. And until then, Yaku, do you have anything you want to say before we head off for the night?
Yeah, speaking of side streams, if you want to have a C stream for the next HomeStory Cup, we may or may not be able to do that, depending on time.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna
schedule.
I'm probably gonna message Naruto about that to see if we can work something out.
Yeah.
Oh god.
But if not, then maybe we could find someone.
There we go. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you so much for the support, and we will see you guys next time.
Yeah, whatever that is. Bye.
Ciao.
Bella.